For decades, one question has echoed through stadiums, pubs, and living rooms. Who is the true GOAT of football, the greatest of all time? It's a debate that has transcended generations, a mythical title passed down like a crown. Before the modern era of gods who walk among us, titans roamed the pitch. There was Pele, the king who captured the world's heart. There was Diego Maradona, the rebellious genius who played by his own rules. There was Johan Cruyff, the innovator who redefined how we see the game. There were magicians like Ronaldinho, maestros like Zidane, and phenoms like Ronaldo Nazario. And then came the rivalry that would define a century, the relentless warrior, Cristiano Ronaldo, and the quiet artist, Lionel Messi. They're all legends who defined an era, but let's face it, only one can be the GOAT. Every story has a beginning, and in football's grand narrative, the benchmark for greatness was set by one man, Pele. He was football's first global superstar, a teenager who exploded onto the world stage at the 1958 World Cup and, at just 17, became its youngest ever winner. Pele wasn't just a goal scorer, he was a symbol. He played with a joy and power that seemed to radiate from the television screen, turning black and white broadcasts into a spectacle of color. The numbers are staggering and still debated. While FIFA once cited 1,281 goals, that number includes unofficial matches. His official tally is recognized at 767 goals in 831 games, a phenomenal record in its own right. But his legacy isn't just in the numbers. It's in the 3 World Cup trophies he lifted with Brazil, a feat that remains unmatched. He was the original king, the player every subsequent legend would be measured against. For decades, the answer to the GOAT question was simple. It was Pele.
Then, a new and different kind of player appeared. Johan Cruyff didn't just play football, he reshaped it. With a vision years ahead of its time, he turned chaos into harmony, pressure into art, and movement into a universal language. His tactical brilliance gave birth to total football, a system that shattered old structures and transformed players into fluid, intelligent pieces capable of occupying any space on the pitch. His teams didn't just play, they thought. Cruyff is a legend not because of statistics, but because of the ideas he planted. Ideas that became foundations for entire eras of the sport. And yet, and this speaks more to the immensity of football than to any flaw of his, when the final, ultra-exclusive list of the GOATs is drawn, that sacred summit shared by only a handful of names, Cruyff stands just one step below. Not forgotten, never diminished, simply in a category of his own. The genius who changed everything, even if he doesn't quite sit at the very top of that ultimate pantheon. Then he arrived. From the raw, beating heart of Buenos Aires, out of the dust of the Potrero, a new kind of hero emerged, Diego Armando Maradona. If Pele was the radiant king, Maradona was the electrifying rebel, brilliant and imperfect, a force of nature who played as if reality bent itself around his left foot. He was shorter, stockier, seemingly ordinary in stature, yet the moment the ball touched him, the world shifted. There was a gravity to him, a magnetism that made defenders freeze between awe and fear. His crowning chapter was the 1986 World Cup, a tournament that became less a competition and more a personal odyssey. Maradona didn't just lead Argentina, he lifted them, carried them, willed them through every obstacle. Against England, he delivered football's most infamous duality, the mischievous audacity of the hand of God and the unmatched brilliance of the goal of the century. A run so astonishing, it felt mythic even as it happened. That World Cup wasn't a team triumph. It was a one-man conquest carved into the sport's very soul.
At club level, he performed a miracle that bordered on the impossible. He took Napoli, a club overlooked, underestimated, eternally in the shadow of Italy's giants, and elevated them to immortality. Winning their first ever Serie A title wasn't just a sporting achievement, it was a cultural earthquake, a transformation so profound that the city saw him not simply as a player, but as a symbol of hope, pride, and resurrection. Maradona's peak was a blazing, incandescent flame, too bright, too intense, destined to burn faster than most. But in its brief fury, it illuminated the game in ways no one had imagined. His brilliance was imperfect, turbulent, human, and that made it unforgettable. Diego Armando Maradona didn't just play football, he rewrote what a single individual could mean to the sport.
As the 20th century closed, a new generation of superstars rose from every corner of the footballing world. Giants whose brilliance made the sport feel reborn. Players who, at their absolute peak, didn't just touch the sky, they grabbed it. Each of them carried a legitimate claim to the throne, and for a time, it felt as though the world was witnessing the birth of new dynasties. Zinedine Zidane played football like a painter, creating art in motion. While other legends embodied power, Zidane embodied pure elegance. In 1998, his two headers in the World Cup final brought France their first ever title. 2 years later, he dominated Euro 2000, showcasing the perfect blend of technique and calm under pressure. Every touch he took looked effortless, and every pass had a purpose. His class and artistry made him a timeless symbol of French greatness. Someone who, like Cruyff, Zidane is a step below the final pantheon, but as the most elegant footballer I have ever seen, he had to be in this video. And what about Ronaldo Nazario? O Fenomeno. Before the devastating knee injuries that threatened his very career, he was a phenomenon in the purest sense, football's most terrifying force of nature. A combination of speed, strength, and surgical technique that had simply never existed before. Defenders weren't just beaten by him, they were left stunned, wondering how something that powerful could move with such grace. By the age of 23, he had already scored more than 200 goals for club and country, collected 2 FIFA World Player of the Year awards, and shattered expectations of what a striker could be. Then came the fall, the injuries, the doubts, and then came something even greater, the resurrection. Ronaldo's comeback to lead Brazil to the 2002 World Cup, Golden Boot included, is not merely a chapter in football history, it is one of the sport's greatest testaments to resilience, determination, and sheer human will. And after him arrived the man who played football with a smile, Ronaldinho. For a brief but unforgettable period at Barcelona, he wasn't just the best player alive, he was joy incarnate, a footballer who treated every touch as a dance step, every match as a celebration. The greatest player many have ever witnessed in their lives. He won a Ballon d'Or, a Champions League, a World Cup with Brazil, and in doing so, turned stadiums into temples of wonder. Ronaldinho didn't play football to dominate. He played to elevate, to show the world the beauty hidden inside the sport. He was the magician, the dreamer, the player who reminded everyone why they fell in love with football in the first place. Before we dive into the ultimate rivalry, it's clear what separates these two Brazilians. Both were potential G.O.Ts, and at their absolute peak, they truly possessed the level of the greatest players in history, unfiltered, breathtaking genius. But ultimately, it was the devastating injuries and the inconsistency in maintaining that supreme level for a longer era that kept them just outside the final pantheon.
And that brings us to the modern era, an era dominated not by one king, but by two, Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. For over 15 years, they've waged a statistical and stylistic war, shattering records and pushing each other to heights previously unimaginable. On one side, you have Cristiano Ronaldo, the warrior, the machine, the inevitable. Forged in Portugal, honed at Manchester United into a league-conquering force, and then perfected at Real Madrid as a living legend, Ronaldo is more than the ultimate athlete. He is a living monument sculpted from relentless dedication and an unshakable will to win. This is a man who willed himself to greatness. The statistics are staggering, almost absurd. A career total of over 950 goals, making him the highest official goal scorer in the history of men's football. A record that may never be broken. He didn't just win 5 Ballon d'Or awards, he hunted them. He didn't just collect 5 Champions League titles, he conquered Europe, bending the world's most prestigious competition to his will time and time again. These aren't just trophies. They are testaments to his unmatched longevity and his terrifying ability to deliver in the biggest moments. We watched him undergo a metamorphosis, from a flashy, unpredictable winger to a ruthless, efficient, goal-scoring machine, a gladiator. His game became a showcase of physical supremacy. The gravity-defying leap, the two-footed cannon shots, the sheer power, all paired with a clutch mentality so profound that in the biggest moments, a goal felt less like a possibility and more like a destiny. And for his nation, he delivered the impossible, leading Portugal to their first ever major trophy at Euro 2016, cementing his legacy as a national hero and a true titan of the game.
On the other side stands Lionel Messi, the artist, a prodigy from Rosario, Argentina, whose legend began with a paradox. The boy destined to be the greatest was told he was too small. Diagnosed with a growth hormone deficiency, his career was in jeopardy before it began, a risk FC Barcelona famously took, ultimately redefining the sport. He is not an athlete in the same vein as his rival Ronaldo. His greatness doesn't lie in overt physical power or explosive sprinter's speed. He is a footballing genius in its purest form. His low center of gravity grants him a supernatural balance, making the ball obey his left foot as if tied by an invisible string. His dribbles aren't about force, they are about subtle deception, shifting his body in ways that defy physics. And then there is his vision. Messi doesn't just play the game. He sees it, conducts it, and writes its script simultaneously, identifying passes others cannot even conceive. His individual greatness is cemented by a record 8 Ballon d'Or awards, a figure that defies logic. While Ronaldo may have more career goals, Messi often boasts a better goal per game ratio. The true difference, however, lies in his duality. He is both the ultimate predator and the ultimate creator, registering over 400 career assists. And now, a choice must be made. We have 4 players in the final pantheon. We could, in all fairness, end the conversation right here with a king, Pele, 3 World Cups, over 1,000 goals, a man who turned a nation's identity into a global brand of beautiful football. He played in an era with no protection, on pitches that were minefields, with a ball that was a burden. To do what he did was to defy reality. Or we could end it with a god, Diego Maradona, a rebel, a force of nature. In 1986, he didn't just win the World Cup, he bent the entire tournament to his will. He dragged an entire nation and a humble club in Naples to glory they had never known. On fields just as brutal, against defenders who saw fouling as an art form, his genius was an act of defiance. Either man could be the answer. For many, they are. But the game evolved. The athletes became something new. And to find the ultimate answer to this modern question, we must look to the modern era. We must look to the 2 men who broke the game, who shattered every record, who conducted a rivalry that defined a generation. There is Cristiano Ronaldo, the machine, the specimen, a monument to will and relentless ambition. The all-time top scorer in the history of men's international football. The all-time top scorer in the history of the Champions League. 5 Champions League trophies, titles in England, Spain, and Italy. Over 800 goals and counting. A man who proved that hard work can and will beat talent if talent doesn't work hard. His case isn't just valid, it's forged in steel and written in every record book. He is, for many, the undisputed standard.
Then, Messi, a boy from Rosario who played the game like a melody. While others sought to break records, he became the record. Not a machine, but an artist. Not a force of will, but a force of nature. We watched him win everything. 4 Champions Leagues, 10 La Liga titles, a record-breaking 8 Ballon d'Or. He was the most complete player we had ever seen. A passer, a dribbler, a creator, and one of the most lethal goal scorers in history. He had done it all, except for one thing. The one shadow that followed him. The one trophy that kept him from the pantheon of Pele and Maradona. But a career this great demanded an ending. A final chapter. A last dance. In Qatar, at 35 years old, he gave us the greatest final chapter ever written. He didn't just win the World Cup, he conquered it. He became the first man in history to score in the group stage, the round of 16, the quarterfinal, the semifinal, and the final. He scored twice in the most dramatic final ever played. He led his nation to glory, just as Diego had done before him. That victory didn't just complete his trophy cabinet, it completed his story. It was the crowning achievement that silenced most remaining doubts. Cristiano Ronaldo is, without question, one of the greatest players of all time, a phenomenal athlete and goal scorer whose discipline and drive are an inspiration. But in the end, football is not just about numbers. It's about magic. It's about moments that make you stand up and question what is possible. The others are kings. They are legends. But Lionel Messi is the greatest of all time.
If you thought picking a soccer GOAT was tough, hit subscribe and get ready for our next video where we decide if anyone in NBA history touches Michael Jordan.